I want to talk about the EU thing in a second. Let me just throw that question out. Will America create a more peaceful world? Can I just ask that question very seriously? Will America create a more peaceful world? 0344 499 1000. I'm not a natural Trump supporter, and I don't think anyone, if you stop for a few moments to think about it, really would be, to be honest. You'd have to look at a lot of facets of the man. However, you know, we live in sort of slightly unconventional times. You know, in the same way that people who voted Remain should get behind Brexit, even if they voted Remain, because that is our direction of travel. You can't change that. And similarly with the United States. So you can say, well, I'm not... And I like the default position of not trusting politicians. I think it's an incredibly intelligent and a healthy disposition to take. To not, you know, I don't... Macron and Trump and Rishi and any of them. Your starting point for analysis must be, you know, forget how it makes you feel, think about what is actually happening. And so with Trump, what is actually happening are some very positive things. The world has been turned upside down in a matter of weeks under President Trump. And I think a lot of that has been really healthy. It doesn't matter whether you like him. You don't have to like your dentist, for God's sake. You just want him to do a good job. So there is that, and I think what is happening at the moment, you have this curious sort of cast of characters. It is sort of dysfunctional family territory, which often works rather well. So you've got Elon Musk, a bloke that was flogging electric cars half an hour ago, who's now at the top table over there in Washington, barking from the wings. You've got J.D. Vance, a man I've admired before most people had even heard of him, because I did do my due diligence. And you've got Mr. Trump himself. And these people don't talk in curious kind of pre-rehearsed platitudes like you often see with politicians, something that a SPAD, a special advisor, has written for them, a nice clinical press release to read out full of diplomatic language and a parlance of modernity and decency. Now they shoot from the hip. And that's to be encouraged in most respects. It does mean you get some unconventional responses, like, you know, instead of saying, well, you know, with respect, we thoroughly disagree with Mr Zelensky. No, there's none of that. It's like, we think he's, like, playing off the death of soldiers. They're going right for the bullseye in this respect. So, yeah, I do want to know, will America create a more peaceful world? If you could answer that, 0344 499 1000. But I also want to throw this in as well, which is about the issue of the EU. Would a reciprocal arrangement with the EU on the under-30s have, on freedom of movement, be the answer to our immigration problems? Let me bring you the story here. So Britain is to offer, if this comes up, European countries an Aussie-style youth mobility scheme as part of Keir Starmer's reset with Brussels. This has widely been talked about for a long, long time, and it seems as if we're back onto it now. Under a plan to be tabled by British negotiators, tens of thousands of young EU workers and students will be able to come to the UK and live and work for 2 years, with the possibility of a 1-year extension. The reciprocal scheme would allow young Britons aged 18 to 30 similar access to countries in Europe. The question I want to throw on this, because the instinctive answer is, oh, we can see what's going on here. This is like, get us back in, right? This is Starmer's way in. This was, like so many of these stories, a bit like the Renters Reform Bill. Things like that. This stuff was happening under the Tories. Rishi Sunak had dabbled with this as well. The only thing I'd throw into the mix here, would this reciprocal arrangement with freedom of movement curiously be the answer to our immigration problems? Would, if you gave out 70,000, 100,000 visas a year, and the EU gave us 100,000 visas a year, then the people coming in would be those, our nearest neighbours, if you like, coming in to temporarily work. Do you know those unskilled jobs we keep hearing about? Would they be taking up those kind of jobs? Would that be the better option than what we currently have? So it'd be legal immigration for a limited period of time. You don't get any benefits. You don't have full access to the NHS, by the way, under this scheme. Would you support that scheme? And would it be partially an answer to our immigration problems?